Dear Stranger, this is a series consisting of interactions and observations I've had with strangers. These interactions and observations have been compiled into my notes app and journal. This compilation of readings comes from my everyday life. We all have impact on one another, even if we are just strangers. Enjoy. Dear old lady playing with her dog by the ocean. It was a warm summer afternoon in Bar Harbor, Maine. My family and I decided to randomly pull over at a beach access. We all funneled out of our cramped truck, tired from our day. We wandered around for a bit and ended up reconvening with my father, sitting on some smooth rocks. I looked towards the water to see you and your dog playing. You would throw a ball out into the water, and the dog would run after it to retrieve it. Your dog looked so happy, splashing and running out his energy. I'm not a dog person. I know, kinda crazy. But as I was sitting with my family, your dog ran over to visit us. He had the ball in his mouth, wanting to have us join in on his fun. You chased after him and profusely apologized to my family for your dog's interruption. I didn't mind. He was so little and soaked from the sea. You made me smile. Both you and your dog walked back to the water, and he decided it was time for some digging in the damp sand. You called after him, and I remember telling myself, I need to remember your dog's name. It was so I could write down our interaction later. His name was Harvey, and it fit him perfectly with his long ears that flopped when he ran. I went into my phone to write down your dog's name when I saw another lady walking over. She was carrying a pink cup of ice cream with 2 yellow plastic spoons. I remember being caught off guard by this. 2 spoons. I watched you smile so brightly when she tapped you on the shoulder to surprise you with the ice cream. You both shared the cup while Harvey continued to play. The other lady placed her arm around you and you leaned your head on her shoulder. At first, I only wanted to remember the sweet moment between you and Harvey. But then I got to see how happy you 3 were. Together. I wasn't out at the time, but when I saw your wife join up with you, it made me feel like I could have a chance at that too. Your love genuinely made me smile. Dear Blue Chevy Truck Guy, we were planning on making pizza. My mom, sister, and I. We wanted to get the normal pizza stuff. Cheese, sauce, toppings. I had recently gotten my learner's permit, and I had driven on the road before, but that day was my first day trying to park. When I turned into the parking lot, I was mindful of the more experienced drivers around me. I drove to the back of the lot where I could be out of the way. I picked an open spot and began to turn. My mom was giving me instructions, and I carefully pulled into the spot. The tail of the car I was driving wasn't all the way in, and it would take me a moment to figure out what I could do to fix my alignment. I didn't even start to adjust before you laid on your horn. Did you really have to honk for that much? For that long? Just because it was taking me a little bit longer to park in a parking spot? We were literally in a Hannaford's parking lot. There were so many other lanes, let alone spaces you could have chosen. You startled me, and I pulled out of the spot crooked just to get out of your way. You parked a spot down for me, kicking out dust as you sharply turned. My mom got out of the car and yelled at you for being so rude. Did you feel bad? Did you even care? I highly doubt it. You don't know how much that influenced me. I think of that moment every time I park. By the way, It's been a bit, and I'm good at parking, so back off. We all need to learn someday. Anyways, we didn't get groceries. Oh, and screw you. Dear middle-aged couple who were on vacation to Bennington, Vermont. It was cold out. The snow was icy and stung as the wind pelted it around. My boss and I hunkered down at a local cafe to get some work done and to wait out the wind. We sat for a bit before you entered. I remember watching you two as you seemed to be in awe at the coffee shop. The walls of the shop were lined with local artists' artwork. I peeked up from my laptop to see the woman reading the descriptions of the art pieces and the man as he stood at the counter ordering your drinks. You both met up and sipped your hot drinks and admired the art. I apologized for staring. I couldn't help myself. You both were so intrigued by the charm of the art and the feel of the coffee shop, I kind of felt like I was a secondary character. You both talked across the shop unaware of all the people who were there to do work. I get it. It's not a library. But I know all of the things you mostly inaccurately discussed. Your knowledge of Vermont was limited, but you definitely had a huge amount of appreciation, and that was sweet. I readjusted in my chair. My left foot tingled from being in the same spot for too long. I shifted and my watch reflected some light over towards one of the art pieces. The art piece that was next in line for your observation. Both of you thought the light from my watch was a part of the art and were amazed with how lifelike it looked. I froze, not wanting to make you both look silly in front of all of the people in the shop. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. It was me all along. However, it did make my parents laugh when I told them about it. I hope you had a good time in Vermont. Dear lady who walks her pug around noon. My first semester at Bennington, I spent much of my mornings and late afternoons on the third floor of the Commons building. There was a room that gave me the perfect view of the sidewalk towards Dickinson Science Building. I enjoyed that spot because one of my favorite things to do was people watching. That spot was perfect for that. During my morning class, I saw you, dressed in a long dark coat, attempted to walk your small pug across the sidewalk. This pug simply would not cross with you. He heeled and pulled against his harness, causing you to stop in your tracks. I watched amused as you tried to convince the pug to walk. You pointed and flapped your arms around as if explaining why he should cross, but he still didn't. Perhaps he couldn't understand you? You gave in and scooped the pug up into your arms and swiftly walked across the sidewalk. Once across, you put the pug back down, only to have him to refuse to move yet again. Thus began the same process. You moved your arms around, trying to convince the pug to walk. He would not. You let out a sigh. I could tell by your shoulders tensing and then dropping. You reached into your pocket and pulled out some treats. You gave the pouting pug a couple of treats and he began to walk. He did stop a couple more times though. Anyways, lady who walks her pug, I just wanted to tell you, I've seen your husband also walk that pug, and let me tell you, he's perfectly capable of crossing that sidewalk. Your pug is playing you. This has been Dear Stranger. Thank you for listening.